SLT Fibre and experience the power of fibre technology. Sri Lanka's only super fast internet connection. SLT Fibre. Call 1212.
Tonight, understanding the MCC. Millennium Challenge Corporation's resident country director is the latest to alleviate fears over the compact.
The United States and MCC will not buy, own any land under this activity. MCC and this grant have no connection at all to the U.S. military. We're going to be standing up a Sri Lankan board of directors that will include private sector members.
But Mangala hints at a postponement of the pact. Addressing religious extremism. Archbishop of Canterbury believes religious leaders cannot easily wash their hands off responsibility.
The challenge of discussion between faiths has become much more difficult in the last 30 or 40 years.
The ball is rolling. The SLFP to strike an MOU with Gotabaya Rajapaksa over presidential election backing. Jumping ship. MPs SB and Dillon become SLPP members. Sack from SLFP beckons. All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Thursday, the 29th of August, 2019.
Nama Lifebuoy Cool Fresh සහ Lemon Fresh Menthol සහ Lemon සාරයෙන් 10 කඳ ඇති කරන සංගුණ විස බීජ වලින් ආරක්ෂා කර ඔබව fresh කරයි. විස බීජ off, fresh එක on.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhammik Ekanaika. Let's start with your local stories. The $480 million Millennium Challenge Corporation compact with Sri Lanka has been the talk of the town since last year. The United States has been repeatedly clarifying its noble intentions associated with the compact, saying that this is a no-strings-attached grant intended to help the country's development process. The latest explanation of the fund came today from the resident country director of Sri Lanka of the Millennium Challenge Corporation at the Sri Lanka USA Business Council of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce.
What is in this compact exactly? 350 million of it is to improve over 300 kilometers of urban and rural transport infrastructure. Sri Lanka's comparative advantage is that for the time being, it's still a rather livable city. It doesn't suffer from 24/7 traffic, gridlock, and air pollution. And MCC's grant will help keep it this way by increasing the efficiency of the existing road network and improving the primary mode of public transportation for those Sri Lankans who need it most. Our grant doesn't just focus on the western province. It also includes upgrades to over 130 kilometers of roads in the existing central ring road network. The economic rationale for upgrading roads in this part of the country is to better connect people, agricultural products, and other goods to ports and markets. And it'll also help contribute to greater tourism. Getting transport right is the key to making Colombo a regional hub for finance, trade, and investment. And it's the key to making it viable for your companies to be competitive and to increase and diversify your exports to the US and to other markets and to attract more FDI. MCC's $480 million grant also includes a $67 million land project. Now this project has gotten a lot of negative attention in the media. First, the United States and MCC will not buy, own any land under this activity. It is illegal under Sri Lankan law for foreigners, including Americans, to buy or own land here. Second, MCC and this grant have no connection at all to the U.S. military. We're independent and we're apolitical and we're an economic development agency. Third, MCC is not proposing to build an electric fence, an electric railway, or any kind of corridor to either to divide the country in any way whatsoever. The land project in the MCC grant simply supports existing, historically under-resourced initiatives to map available state lands, to digitize records through existing online databases like the e-State Land Information Management System and the e-Land Registry System, to strengthen the valuation department and to improve land tenure security for Sri Lankan businesses and families by scaling up existing programs like Bin Savia. Now the government did propose we focus our support for these existing government programs on 8 districts in one of 4 economic corridors, including the so-called Colombo-Trincomalee corridor. And there were good reasons for that. These districts include large population centers. They have excellent road connectivity. They're close to markets and ports, now especially we've got the Central Expressway coming online. And they're close in proximity to planned BOI industrial estates. They also have a stable power supply and good wastewater and sanitation facilities, and these are really important for investment and industrial development. A considerable amount of planning and project development is yet to be done before this land project is finalized. Same thing for the transport project. So consequently, there is scope for the government to prioritize other focus areas for the land project during the 18-month project design phase that we're about to enter into. First, MCC grant funding doesn't have any conditions to it. There's nothing that says our contracts have to go to American firms. In fact, if you look globally at MCC contract awards, only 7% go to American companies, even less to Chinese companies. And that's because we're prohibited from awarding contracts to majority government-owned enterprises. So there are going to be a lot of opportunities for your companies and other Sri Lankan companies to compete and win multi-million-dollar projects, and we hope you'll do so. Second, we see a lot of opportunities in this program for public-private partnerships in the operations and maintenance of our automated traffic management system is just one example. And finally, as soon as this $480 million grant is approved and signed, we're going to be standing up a Sri Lankan board of directors that will include private sector members and a team of 65 Sri Lankans to manage the program. It will be headed by a CEO. This program was proposed by Sri Lankans, developed by Sri Lankans, and it will be managed and overseen by a team of Sri Lankans. We are looking for talent. We want private sector expertise, and we pay really well.
Meanwhile, Minister of Finance Mangala Samaraweera reaffirmed the government's determination to move ahead with the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Compact with Sri Lanka, which at the moment he says is delayed because President Maithripala Sirisena being of a different stance on the matter. Addressing a media briefing on the third phase of the Rural Development Project Gamperaliya, Minister Samaraweera hinted that as a result, the government will have to wait until the presidential election is over to move ahead with the compact.
Millennium Cooperation Challenge
There is a delay in the process because the President is of a different stance regarding the compact. While listening to what he has to say, we as a government has made it clear that we must sign the MCC compact. Although we might not be able to move ahead with this in the next few months, the next government, which will be a UNP-led one, will sign the compact. Shifting the focus to the country's economy, Minister Mangala Samaraweera responded to criticism levelled against the government, challenging the opposition for an open debate.
Since we come to office, we have taken very important steps to stabilize the economy, and today we have a stable, disciplined economy. In fact, in this period, the tax to GDP ratio increased from 10.1% in 2015 to 12.4%. And also in 2018, Sri Lanka had a primary surplus, which means that other than interest payments, government revenue was greater than government expenditure. This country achieved a primary surplus for the first time in 63 years. Sri Lanka's inflation rate is now one of the lowest in South Asia, other than the Maldives and India. Also, we have now basically reached the upper middle income level. We have the highest income rate in this part of the world. And also we have unprecedented foreign direct investment. Demonstrates the confidence in our economy, and the trade deficit is the lowest in many years. So therefore I challenge anyone who goes on praying that the economy collapse to come forward and maybe have an open debate about the achievements we have had in the last few years.
Meanwhile, State Minister of Finance Eran Wickramaratne touched on the prevailing policy rates.
Average call money rates were in January, they were like 9%. On the 22nd of August, they are 7.75%. So there is a decline from 9 to 7.75. If you take the Treasury bill yield rates, they have come down the 91 day from about 9.55 to 7.84. The 182 days or the six months has come down from 9.87 to 7.89. The 1 year has come down from 10.69 to 8.31. If you look at the average weighted lending rate, right, has not come down. It doesn't reflect the drop in the deposit rates. It hasn't come down. It was 14.44 in January, it's 14.22 now. The average weighted new lending rate was 14.41. It has come down to 13.88. In other words, only 53 basis points down. Whereas the average weighted new deposit rate was 11.21. It has come down to 8.58, which is actually 263 basis points. So the deposit rates have come down 263 basis points or 2.63%, while the lending rates have only come down 53 basis points or 0.5%.
Now, head of the Anglican Church, Archbishop of Canterbury, Most Reverend Justin Welby, cautions that dialogue between different faiths has become difficult as there's a growth of extremist attitude across all faiths. During his meeting with religious leaders today, the visiting Archbishop highlighted denouncing a perpetrator for an act of evil simply isn't enough, but responsibility must be taken to explore which elements within respective faith traditions enable the act.
The Archbishop of Canterbury and the head of the Anglican Church, Most Reverend Justin Welby, arrived in Sri Lanka this morning on a 3-day visit.
My Lord.
The visiting Archbishop was then accompanied by the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, to St. Sebastian's Church, Katuwapitiya, which sustained heavy damages due to the Easter spate of terror. A mass was conducted at the church presided by the Archbishop of Canterbury. He also looked into the well-being of victims of the attack. The visiting Archbishop then met with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe in the evening. He also had an audience with leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa. The Archbishop of Canterbury later met with members of the Congress of Religions and interreligious leaders.
The challenge of discussion between faiths has become much more difficult in the last 30 or 40 years. In every faith tradition, there is a growth in extremist attitudes, including in Christianity. And it is the duty of every religious tradition for its leaders to resist extremism and to teach peaceful dialogue. So the first challenge to all of us is take responsibility. If a Christian does something evil, it is not for me to say, well, they're not a real Christian. I have to ask myself, what is within my faith tradition, our historic teaching, that makes it easy for them to do that? The second challenge in dialogue is honesty. Dialogue is where we are honest, where we open the door of our heart and say, it is this that frightens me about you, or this that I disagree with you about. When we do that, then we begin to recognize each other as human beings, and then the dialogue becomes fruitful. The third thing is we build our dialogue by serving our communities. Whether Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever faith, society calls us to account, and I believe that God calls us to account at the end of time. Have you been builders of peace or builders of pain?
6 persons who had planned terror activities along with the judicial medical officer of the Palai hospital are now in police custody. The police media spokesperson's claim comes at a time when police found several bombs, including 3 claymore mines and a small pressure mine in the Paragammana Forest Reserve yesterday.
An unrelated search operation in the area of Paragammana in Pannala by officers of the Anti-Corruption Unit of Kuliyapitiya led to the discovery of 3 claymore mines, also known as side bombs, and a small pressure bomb left under a tree in the Paragammana Forest Reserve. Meanwhile, following interrogation of Judicial Medical Officer of the Palai Hospital in Jaffna, Sinnaya Sivaruban, a stock of weapons including an AK-47 firearm, 11 grenades, 10 kilos of explosives, as well as 120 ammunition have been found. National newspapers reported today that upon interrogations by the Terrorism Investigations Division of Jaffna, Sivaruban has revealed plans to use underworld figures to assassinate the presidential candidate of the SLPP, Gotabaya Rajapaksa. These reports say that the Tamil diaspora had given a contract to the underworld in order to fulfill their objective. Police media spokesperson SP Gunasekara, however, refuted reports on assassination plots against former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa and leader of the opposition Mahinda Rajapaksa. He meanwhile said that 6 persons in connection with terror activities with the judicial medical officer in Palai have been arrested.
Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva, is of the view that data should be shared with like-minded nations in this era of information, where success is defined by how we receive and process information. The commander made these remarks at the inaugural ceremony of the Colombo Defence Seminar 2019 at the BMRCH today. More than 800 delegates, including 13 foreign experts, 12 local speakers and a delegation of security experts, will participate in this year's 2-day seminar.
Colombo Defence Seminar was designed to share our experiences, not necessarily our successes, but also debacles endured by us. In this era of information, where our success depends on how best information is received and processed, we strongly believe that the information should be shared among like-minded nations. We are embarking on a robotic age, and it prompts us to embrace technology. My mind is also challenged by corporate world thinking, such as the triple bottom line concept: people, planet, and profit. I strongly believe that the future of the modern day military will have to fall in line with such concepts while preserving its identity as a military, which is the sole protector of a sovereign nation and who also plays a significant role in nation building.
Now, 2 of SLFP's prominent members, parliamentarians SB Disanayak and Dilan Pereira, obtained membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today. This decision prompted a swift response from the SLFP as they announced their intention to take disciplinary action against the duo. Spokesperson of the SLFP, Veerakumara Disanayaka, stated that the party considers them to have left the SLFP. Now, in the meantime, the SLFP has agreed to enter into a memorandum of understanding with SLPP's presidential hopeful former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa over the party's backing of him in the looming presidential election.
Official discussions between the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the presidential hopeful of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, commenced today at the latter's residence in Colombo. General Secretary of the SLFP Parliamentarian Dayasiri Jayasekara, Treasurer of the party MP Lasantha Alagiyawanna and General Secretary of the United People's Freedom Alliance MP Mahinda Amaravira joined the 1.5-hour discussion. During the talks, Rajapaksa had agreed to a proposal by the SLFP to enter into a memorandum of understanding pertaining to their support for him in the upcoming presidential election. SLFP representatives also said that they received positive feedback from Gotabaya Rajapaksa regarding the set of proposals presented to the SLPP on forming a coalition. Views had also been exchanged that further talks must be held with SLPP's national organizer Basil Rajapaksa regarding certain matters.
ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා විදිහට එතුමා සමග යුසුම් ගත වෙන්නද ඔබතුමාලා
ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා කවුද?
We will first sign agreements with the relevant presidential candidate and will sign a separate agreement with the coalition if formed.
යුසුමක් අසං කරනවා.
Meanwhile, parliamentarians SB Disanayaka and Dilan Pereira, who were members of the SLFP, obtained membership of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today from the party's national organizer Basil Rajapaksa.
We decided to support SLPP's presidential candidate Gotabaya Rajapaksa along with other SLPP members. We were warmly welcomed by everybody in the SLPP, including the national organizer Basil Rajapaksa.
ඒකයි තා හොඳ දෙයක්. එතුමා ජනාධිපති වුණාට පස්සේ එතුමා ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය බාර ගන්නවා නම් මම හිතන්නේ මෛත්‍රීපාල සිරිසේන මැතිතුමා ඒක බාර දෙන්න සූදානම් නම් ඒක තා හොඳ තත්ත්වයක්.
මමයි ඒ වගේම බණ්ඩාරවැල.
Along with myself and SB Disanayaka, 4 members from the Bandarawela Municipal Council and 6 from the Haliala Pradesha Sabha took membership of the SLPP today. The national organizer of my party strongly advised against criticising the SLFP. In the meantime, a discussion was held at the official residence of Minister Mangala Samaravira last night with the participation of those backing UNP Deputy Leader Minister Sajith Premadasa to become the presidential candidate. Our reporters said that the discussions went on well past midnight.
A group of politicians supporting Deputy Leader of the UNP Minister Sajith Premadasa convened at the official residence of Minister Mangala Samaravira last evening. It's reported a discussion was held from 7 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. about the looming presidential election.
The discussions are successful. We discussed as to how we should win the upcoming election and the fact that within 1 week we should enter the election race and decide the candidate. We didn't discuss anything. We had a good talk and we are now returning home after dinner.
කවුරුත් වචන දෙන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. අපි ඉතින් ඉදිරියේදී සුදුසු විදිහට හැමදේම සිද්ධ වෙයි.
දැන් රවි කරුණානායක ඇමැතුමයි අගමැතිතුමයි ජනාධිපති හම්බ වෙලා පෙරේදා විධායක ජනාධිපතිකමේ අහෝසි කරන්න. මොකද්ද වෙන්න ඕනේ අතන?
ඉතින් මටත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. මටත් දීලා අහෝසි කරන්න පුළුවන්. කිසි ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. ඒක නබතුමත් කැමතිද විධායක ජනාධිපති අහෝසි කිරීමට? ඔව්.
අද මේ රවි කරුණානායක ඇමැතුමාගේ ගෙදරත් පාටියක් තිබුණා. බොහෝ අයගේ හෙට ගිහින් තිබුණා.
බොහොම හොඳයි. හා?
ඔබතුමාට ආරාධනයක්
නෑ මම දන්නේ නැහැ. මට එහෙම පාටි එකක් ගැන මම දන්නේ නැහැ.
අද කී දිනක් විතර මැති ඇමතිවරු മന്ത്രിවරු කී දිනක් විතර සහභාගී වුණාද? හිටියා 35ක් 40ක් විතර හිටියා.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලා ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ විදියට අගමැතිතුමත් එක්ක බැරිද මේක කෙලින්ම ගිහිල්ලා කියන්න මේ සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහතාට තැන දෙන්න කියලා?
අපි අගමැතිතුමාට කියලා.
We have already explained to him. We hope he will make a suitable decision.
තීරණයක් ගනී.
සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මහත්තයා ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයා විතරක් නෙමෙයි නොවැම්බර් මාසේ අන්තිම වෙනකොට මේ රටේ ජනාධිපති.
මේක ඔබතුමාලා විතරනේ කියන්නේ. ප්‍රබලයෝ කියන්නේ නැහනේ.
යාපිනේ ප්‍රබලයෝ.
නායකතුමා
ප්‍රබලම එක්කනනේ.
ඒකාබද්ධ විපක්ෂයෙන් නම් කරලා තියෙන ජනාධිපති අපේක්ෂකයාත් එක්ක ඔබතුමාලා දාන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන අපේක්ෂකයාට තරගයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් නේද? දාන්න පුළුවන් ශක්තිය.
They did the right thing by nominating the strongest candidate they have. We don't think their decision is wrong. We too should nominate an equally strong candidate. Now, Minister Mangala Samaravira meanwhile says Minister Sajith Premadasa has to be the main contender for the UNP's presidential candidacy. Minister Samaravira also organised a rally in Mathura in support of Minister Premadasa recently.
Bring forward Sajith. Now there are two it seems.
No, not two. There are not only two. I would say there are more than, there are all kinds of, I think there are about 4 or 5 possible candidates. I even saw Honorable Dayagamage had said that he would like to come forward. So what?
Sajith is in the front. He is the main contender.
Well, he has to be the main contender because more than 2/3 of the UNP parliamentary group have already endorsed him.
Now, staying with the UNP Legal Secretary of the Party President's Council, Nisanka Nanakara, says that according to the party's constitution, a presidential candidate cannot be named until an election is declared by the Election Commission. He further said that the party constitution doesn't give the mandate to make a decision on it before an election is announced. He also revealed that disciplinary inquiries are set to begin tomorrow against UNP MP Vijayadasa Rajpaksha and Venerable Athuraliya Ratanathera. Now, moving on with other stories, Minister of Power and Energy Ravi Karunanayake is ordered to provide a statement to the Criminal Investigation Department within 14 days. The order was issued by the Colombo Chief Magistrate today. Minister Karunanayake is to record a statement with regard to providing false evidence to the Presidential Commission of Inquiry which probed the central bank bond scam. We're going to move in for a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching First at 9. Now, former governor of the central bank, Ajit Niwad Kabral, is critical of the government's decision to issue samurai bonds worth $500 million. Speaking at a media briefing yesterday, he also said that the current government's printing money has surpassed the average capacity a government is supposed to do within a year.
So this government has been compelled to print money because A, they have to keep the interest rates low. B, there are many gaps in the taxes that they can raise. They are borrowing huge sums from abroad. Presently, they are thinking of borrowing a samurai bond, $500 million.
Yes, but do you think that stopping the central bank from printing money is a good idea?
At the moment, I don't think so. I think the central bank must have that leverage, the government must have that leverage with limited, because it's transparent, because everybody knows if there is money being printed in excess. There was no excessive money printing during the Rajapaksa period, I can tell you. But this government had enormous amounts of money printing done, but this will even surpass that.
Now, the all-share price index closed in red as a result of price losses in counters such as Nestle Lanka, John Keells Holdings and Lime Brewery. The market turnover was 639.7 million rupees today, slightly less than this year's daily average of 647.9 million rupees so far. Foreign investors bought a net 23.3 million rupees worth of shares. We now have Hiruni Pereira from First Capital Holdings with a brief report on today's market performance.
Today, the secondary bond market witnessed continued selling interest from both local and foreign counterparties, while overall market witnessed limited activities with low volume. Equity market reverted to the negative sentiment, mainly dragged down by Nestle and John Keells. During the day, crossings were recorded in Commercial Bank, Mailstar, TJL and Sampap, while contributing 26% to the turnover.
Now, to give you a currency update, the Sri Lankan rupee ended steady at 180 rupees and 25 to 60 cents against the US dollar today, compared with yesterday's close of 180 rupees and 20 to 50 cents. Let's now take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies around the world. We take a look at what's happening around the world after this short break. Welcome back. Now, British Prime Minister's decision to suspend Parliament has prompted an angry backlash from MPs and opponents of a no-deal Brexit. It sparked protests across the country, a legal challenge and a petition with more than 1 million signatures. Commons leader Jacob Rees-Mogg said the outrage was phony and that the move was constitutional and proper.
Hundreds of protesters gathered outside the British Parliament to denounce Prime Minister Boris Johnson's decision to suspend Britain's Parliament for more than a month before Brexit. The move, which had to be approved by Queen Elizabeth, limits the time opponents have to derail a disorderly Brexit, but also increases the chance that Johnson could face a vote of no confidence in his government and possibly an election. Protesters chanted "Stop the coup" as they waved EU flags and held placards criticising the PM's move. When asked if Prime Minister Johnson's suspension of Parliament is an attempt to stop debate on Brexit, Britain's Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove had this to say.
It's certainly not. The Prime Minister is clear that he wants to use a new parliamentary session in order to ensure that the people's priorities are met. But it's also the case that parliamentarians will have plenty of time when we come back next week to debate Brexit. They'll have plenty of time before the European Council in October to debate Brexit, and they'll have plenty of time to vote on and to reflect their views on Brexit after that European Council, at which we hope to get a deal. Parliament has spent the last 3 years talking about Brexit.
Now, Sri Lankan spinner Ajantha Mendis has announced his retirement from all forms of cricket. The spinner has not played international cricket since an ODI in 2015 against New Zealand in Christchurch. The bowler, who amazed the world with his carom ball, is best remembered for his 6 wickets for 13 runs in the Asia Cup final in 2008. He is also the only bowler to take a 6-wicket haul in T20s twice, with a total of 66 wickets in the format. Mendis also has 70 wickets in 19 tests and 152 in 87 ODIs against his name. Now, South African cricketer Jonty Rhodes laments Sri Lanka's inconsistency of selection that resulted in the dip in form of Sri Lanka cricket in the last 2 years. Responding to media, the former cricketer said that the system should encourage and coach players with abilities which the country has produced in numbers.
I think this island has certainly produced lots of good young players that have come through, and now it's up to the system to make sure that the players with the ability, who have the talent, certainly get coached and they get encouraged, also get backed. The one thing about Sri Lanka in the last maybe 18 months, 2 years, too many players in and out the team. That sort of inconsistent selection also leads to inconsistent performance on the field. So the key is now is to find a team, whether it be Test, T20, ODIs, and make sure that they stick with these players, give them an opportunity to grow, not just as youngsters, but also in the role that they have to play in the team.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.